None of these guys will be playing opening night against the Rangers. Let's talk about it.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Kunitz and shots. Penguins win it! Sees part for Crosby to the goal. He scores!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
And on Fade, the shot. He scores! Here's Crosby with a burst of speed. Up the middle. Gets open. Scores!
We're a collective.
Andy Kyoto is beating Ninamaki's brains in. What a show!
The Pittsburgh Penguins have announced some injuries to some key players before the start of the season, as well as a list of people that were put on waivers. Me and Josh are going to talk about it. First, let's talk about the most recent news, which is the 5 players that were put on waivers. We're going to shoot them out really quick, and we're going to talk about it. The first person is Sebastian Aho, Danton Heinen, Philip Kemp, Philip Larson, Juna Koppanen, and Valtteri Puustinen. Josh, out of those 5 players, this is most recent news. This just came out. Any surprises that you see? Anyone that was like, whoa, hey, that's not good?
No, because honestly, it's we talked about it in our last episode. The youth is coming, and they have made a statement this training camp and preseason that they're going to be hard to take off this roster. And this first kind of chunk of waivers kind of shows that, because none of the guys we talked about on the previous episode are on that list. So these guys are making a stand in the NHL and making Kyle Dubas's job harder than he probably anticipated. So he's making tough decisions early, and but at the same time, you can argue that these weren't hard decisions. Dan Heinen, we watched him play last year.
Sure,
he's essentially cooked.
Struggling.
Yeah. Puustinen, he had flashes, but not consistent enough to stay at the NHL level. So, Philip Larson, goaltender, we're kind of logjammed there with greatness, and nothing against Philip Larson, because if you look at his body of work in the AHL last year, it is solid. Respectable. Yep, absolutely.
Very solid.
We kind of expected him to be in the AHL. So hoping that some of these guys clear so that they can be designated to go to Wilkes-Barre. But honestly, not many surprises on that list. Probably the only name worth mentioning outside of Puustinen would be Danton Heinen. But again, no real surprise that happened.
Yeah, one name that I was kind of curious about was Koppanen. I was thinking, maybe he would scratch, to try to become that fringe player. But the one obviously too old at this point. But the person that is the most surprising is Danton Heinen. I think that one, we let him go. He came back. We brought him back thinking there would be some flashes of previous Danton Heinen. So that way we can kind of have that 4th liner, 3rd liner guy that could really rely on. And he just hasn't been that guy. And this is the first casualty of bringing young depth. Okay? So when we have talented young depth, you're going to see more of this, where these guys that 4th, 3rd liners that have been kind of journeymen in the NHL, you're going to see them kind of go away, because we want to introduce youth, speed, and just overall trying to bring in the guys that we have been building up to finally make the roster. So that's the first one. That's the biggest one. The easiest one for me is Philip Larson. We all knew he was going to be Wilkes-Barre's guy. You know, I think it was a matter of how he got there. And obviously this is, I think, a maneuver for the contract because, you know, you move him down, you don't have to pay him the NHL style contract. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to be up there. And because if he makes the cut, now there's a raise involved in that and there's all that. So, and I could be talking out my butt, which I most likely am. But what I think is, I just think as you mentioned, there's a log jam at goaltender. That's what we have. Philip Larson is the weakest link. No offense to Philip Larson.
Yeah.
But we have Tristan Jarry who can't go down. Otherwise, I mean, he could. I mean, let's be realistic. We already did this, you know.
We did it last year.
We did it last year. And to be fair, you take a look at the list of goaltenders, Jarry is most likely the next one, if anyone, to be sent on waivers down to Wilkes-Barre. Everyone else could just be assigned to Wilkes-Barre, like Mershov, like Blomqvist.
Seelovs can't.
Seelovs can't, but that I left him off that list, Josh, because we believe,
Fair.
or at least I believe, Seelovs is going to be the starting goaltender of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He just got an entire start to himself in the preseason. He looked pretty good. You know, some areas where he needs work, but he looked pretty good. I think he looked
Fair
pretty
enough.
good.
Yeah.
Is that good? Is that all right?
Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about that tonight, but yes.
I know you're itching to get that going. But Josh, there's also players. Speaking of goaltenders, one of the notable goaltenders on the Pittsburgh Penguins is Joel Blomqvist, and unfortunately, Joel Blomqvist is going to miss a couple weeks out due to injury. But he's not the only one who will miss opening night. Who else is missing from playing hockey for the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yeah, so all these guys that we're about to run through are going to miss some significant time here. Most notably, if you remember at the start of training camp, Kyle Dubas had a press conference and he brought up Rutger McGroarty and that he will be out indefinitely. That indefinitely still on the table. We have not been given an update. We don't know where things are at. We don't know if he's been reevaluated. So,
that's true,
unfortunately, I don't know if things are looking better or worse. So, he's still on the shelf indefinitely. Louie mentioned it, Joel Blomqvist. He was injured on earlier a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
I was going to say earlier this month, but we're at the beginning of the month here. But it was actually late September that he got injured. So he's out, they say, a minimum of 4 weeks. So that puts him about late October that he'll be coming back. And then you have Kevin Hayes, who got hurt during training camp.
That's right.
He is being reevaluated in a month. So he'll be reevaluated in mid-October. And then from there, I guess we'll see. But two guys who just got announced in terms of injuries. One, I think happened in the game last night was Jack St. Ivany. Mm-hmm. He got hurt in the game against the Sabres.
Yep.
And he will be out 6 weeks. So a minimum of 6 weeks. I don't know if it's the same injury as last year because he was out about 6 weeks last year too.
That was concussion, right?
Was it a concussion? I don't know what it was last year.
Or was that Shea? I know it was either St. Ivany or Shea that had a concussion. So we're sorry. That's coming off the top of the dome. Forgive us, Josh. Continue.
Yeah. I just remembered 6 weeks. So I know that he was out last year with 6 weeks. So same time frame this year. And we won't see him until after Thanksgiving, if we see him. There's obviously roster maneuvering that you got to do, see if they actually make the roster and all that stuff. Yeah. And then lastly, Brian Rust, Crosby's line mate, got hurt, lower body. He's going to be out of, they're calling it week to week, but a minimum of 2 weeks. So again, kind of that mid-October, about the same time that Kevin Hayes will get his reevaluation.
Yeah.
So all these injuries,
it's not looking good.
Making room for some of these young guys that we talked about in the last episode. So, we'll see what kind of roster manipulation Kyle Dubas and Dan Muse are going to come up with here. But some serious, I shouldn't say serious, but just some injuries here to some key players that we need to keep an eye out early on. Hopefully, this injury bug just hits us early and we're done. Because, if we get hot, we got to stay hot. So can't let the injuries slow us down.
Yeah, one thing that does concern me is Brian Rust. And here I'm throwing a hypothetical, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not come and attack me. Does this at all taint the future on the Pittsburgh Penguins with Brian Rust?
No.
He is constantly injured. So,
are you calling Mr. Brian Rust injury prone right now?
I don't think I'm the only one. I think there's been. Hey, we've been there's people in our Discord saying that he's got bones made out of glass. Okay, which is not unfair because last year he was injured, then the year before that he was injured. He has been hurt a lot of the times, and he's missed some good stretches in this season. Now, when he's back, he gets reacclimated, and then he gets back to normal, which is fine. I'm not saying he's a different hockey player than when he's not injured, before he gets injured. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, due to the fact that he keeps on getting injured and he's missing time, he does have not a massive contract, but he does have a contract attached to his name. His name has been linked to potential trade assets for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Does this help the medicine go down, so to speak, to move Brian Rust because he's hurt? Does that make sense? Am I preaching to some people out here? Because I think if you're constantly injured and your name has been thrown around with Raquel for some possible trade assets, doesn't it kind of help to know that, like, hey, this he gets constantly hurt. Yes, we need some stability here in Pittsburgh right now. We don't need constant injuries. Does that help move on from him?
What you're saying makes sense. But I push back a little bit just because his injuries aren't injuries that keep you out for like a month or an extended period of time. It's a physical game that they're playing. And the fact that they have to play 82 games is wild. So, which is why in the collective bargaining agreement for, I think it's next year, that they'll be, lengthening the span of the season. They'll be starting in like late September and going until June or whatever it is. So, eating up more of that calendar so that way there's more space in between games to allow for recovery and all that. So, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough game to play. That's why you have guys like Crosby who put in, 82 games, essentially like 80 games a year, every year consistently is wild, outside of his concussion, obviously. But it's hard. It's hard to be essentially an Iron Man in this league. So I don't fault him for that, and I think that's a little unfair. But I understand what you're saying because then once he's not a part of the team, it's like you justify it in your head.
Correct.
It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, well, he's been hurt every year for the last 3 years, so it's fine. But at the same time, it's like you can say the same thing about several other guys on the roster who have been dinged up and hurt for the last several years. So
yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but
You respectfully disagree, is what I'm.
I respectfully disagree, and I think we would be singing a different tune if he literally plays the entire year healthy after coming back.
Yeah, probably. I'm just saying I'm throwing this out because first of all, I'm not even heated. This is not even a serious thought in my mind.
Yeah,
because I like Rusty.
It's one of those that just pass through like when you're in the shower or something.
Hey, he gets hurt. If he gets traded, does that make it better? Does it make it feel a little better? Plus, you got to think we're talking the last couple episodes. These young guns that are coming up, these young guns that are participating, the walls are closing in on some veterans, and Rust, believe it or not, is a veteran. I know it's crazy to think that Brian Rust is a veteran when it just feels like yesterday he was getting called up during the 16 playoff push. It's
the Black Aces.
Yeah, the Black Aces. It just feels like yesterday that happened with him and Jake Ensel. But now,
don't forget Tom Kuhnackel. Don't put any disrespect on Tom Kuhnackel.
You're absolutely right. And don't forget about Jeff Zakoff. He participated too during that time, Mr. Game 1. But
Connor Sherry.
Connor Sherry. See, look at this. It just feels like yesterday. It's so funny that I say that because I saw what was it? What was it? I'm assuming it was last year where it was like Connor Sherry on waivers. And I was like,
yeah,
he's so good though. And I'm like, but it's been so long since we saw him. So it was just like, we better snatch him up, he's so fast.
Well, it's kind of similar to the most recent game against the Buffalo Sabres. Koivunen.
Oh, I think
Koivunen. Yeah, Koivunen passes by Zucker, and I'm like, remember when Zucker was fast?
Yeah. Remember when Zucker was clutch for us?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, time is so weird because Brian Russ, I'm like, he's still young. I'm like, actually, no, he's coming to a close on his career. In the next 5 years, he'd be. Hey, not everyone could be a Sidney Crosby, but he's coming on a close of. What, in 5 years?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Because I think he's 32. 32?
Yeah, so 5 years?
5 years he'd be where Crosby is right now.
What I'm saying...
Which is the retirement for most players.
Correct. When people say, oh, wow, he's 36, they're like, oh, he's... 10 years ago, if you said, I'm 36 and I'm a hockey player, they're like, so, you're retiring soon. Now that's changed. Now, even in all sports... Yeah. Even in all sports. I remember... We're tennis fans here. Roger Federer was turning 33, 35, around that age. And everyone's like, can he keep up? Can he keep up? And then he went on to win 4 other majors. And they're like, oh, okay, silly us. He played until he was 39, 40 years old. And that's where Sid's at. And Sid is still putting up 82 points a season. All I'm saying is not everyone could be like that. Brian Rust is not like that, and he is going to retire soon. He's going to retire in the next 5-6 years, and that's okay. There's nothing negative about that. But what I'm saying is if he keeps on getting injured and we have a buttload of young guns coming up the pipeline, if I was him, I would start worrying about my injuries. I'd be like, hey, I need to do something to manage this because Kindle is looking to get on the first line. You got Koivunen looking to get on the first line. You got McGroarty looking to be on the first line. That's 3 guys just right there. Don't forget about guys who have been playing a little bit, like Tomasino, like Novak. These guys are aiming for your spot. And I'd be a little concerned. That's the only reason why I bring it up. Nothing like that. See when I bring it like that, is that a good take? Is that a cold take? Is that a hot take? Who knows?
I think it's pretty hot, but now we want to know what you guys think. Was that a hot take from Louie? Will these young guys take these injured players' spots? and who's next on the waiver wire. Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media so that you know when we go live after every single game for the 2025-2026 regular season. Starts Tuesday, October 7th against the Rangers. So don't forget to join us for that. And as always, Louie,
let's go Pens.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Kunitz and shot.
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me? We're a collective.